Hello everyone, and welcome to Power Apps Portals Tips. My name is Nicholas Hayduk, and this is tip number 106. Disable plugins with the Configuration Migration tool. I've spent quite a few tips recently talking about Power Apps Portals ALM with the Configuration Migration tool. While the previous tips covered the process at a high level, these tips did leave out some details. One of these is disabling plugins when importing records. Plugins in Dataverse are code that runs when certain events happen, like records being created or modified. When the Configuration Migration tool imports records, it can cause these plugins to run. In many cases, you may not want that to happen. This is true when importing Power Apps Portals records. For example, there are plugins that run when root web pages are created to create the localized or language-specific pages. However, when importing web pages, you import all the records that you need, including the root and localized pages. And having the plugins run will just cause unnecessary records to be created that will just cause you headaches. So your best bet is to use the feature in the Configuration Migration tool to disable the plugins. In the user interface, this is done by going into the Configure Import Settings option in the Tools menu when creating your schema. You can choose the option on an entity-by-entity basis by checking the Disable Plugins checkbox. There is also an option to disable plugins on all entities for import. In the Schema XML, this option is controlled by the Disable Plugins attribute on each entity node. Note that there is no setting in the schema that allows you to turn off all plugins for all entities. This option in the UI simply sets the Disable Plugins attribute to true for all entities. With this option enabled, when you import, the Configuration Migration tool will first disable plugins as you've configured. You'll see this in the logs. Once the import is complete, the plugins will be re-enabled. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found the Power Apps Portals tip number 106 on disabling plugins with the Configuration Migration tool useful.